Long ago, in a quiet village nestled at the edge of a deep emerald forest, there lived a kind and gentle couple whose greatest wish was to have a child. Their days were filled with simple joys, warm bread from the hearth, evenings spent listening to the wind dance through the trees, and hopeful whispers spoken into the night. Yet even with all the tenderness inside their small cottage, an emptiness lingered in their hearts. Every sunset, as golden light spilled across the windowsill, they would look at each other with soft longing. If only we had a child, they would say, holding on to hope as tightly as they held each other's hands. And then, as if the heavens finally heard their plea, the wife became pregnant. Joy overflowed the cottage like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. She felt the tiny life within her grow stronger each day, and she would place her hands on her belly and smile. But with her pregnancy came a strange and powerful craving, one she could neither understand nor resist. From the sorceress's forbidden garden beyond the village walls drifted the scent of fresh rampion, an herb so fragrant that merely catching its aroma made her heart tighten with desire. "I can smell it from here," she whispered breathlessly. "The rampion, the scent is pulling me. I need it.
Just
please,
a little rampion.
just one bite." Her voice trembled, filled with a hunger she could not ignore. Her husband, devoted and tender-hearted, felt his chest ache at the sight of her distress. He knew the garden belonged to a powerful sorceress, Mother Gothel, whose temper was as dark as the forest at midnight. But love made him brave. One night, beneath a moon that hung like a silver coin in the sky, he climbed over the stone wall and gathered the herb. When he returned, his wife ate the rampion as though it were life itself.
Who are you, pet?
And for a moment, peace returned,
My
until the
wife is
craving
expecting.
returned with even greater
She
force.
longs for this
"Honey,"
herb.
she pleaded, "can I have more? Please, I feel like I cannot live without it." Her husband hesitated, fear pressing at the edges of his courage. But he could not deny her. "This is the last time," he whispered to himself. "I'll do anything to make her well again." But fate was listening. The second time he climbed the wall, the night air twisted violently around him. Vines sprang from the earth, circling his ankles like living chains. Wind roared like an angry beast. And from within the swirling darkness appeared Mother Gothel, her eyes glowing with cold fury. "You dare steal from my garden?" she hissed. "You will pay for this." The man fell to his knees, pleading for mercy, telling her of his wife's pregnancy and her desperate longing for the herb. But Gothel's lips curled into a cruel smile. "That child you carry will be mine," she said, "a life for a life. You broke the rules, and this is the price." And with that merciless decree, the man's fate, and his unborn child's, was sealed. When the baby girl was born, the sorceress returned as promised. With no pity in her heart, she took the infant from her mother's trembling arms and named her Rapunzel. Rapunzel grew up far from the world she was stolen from, hidden away in a tall, secluded tower buried deep within the forest. The tower had no stairs, no door, only a single window high above the ground, where the sky looked like a patch of unreachable freedom. From the moment she could walk, Rapunzel lived in quiet isolation, but she did not grow bitter. Instead, she blossomed into a young woman of extraordinary grace, gentle, hopeful, curious, and filled with a light that not even the stone walls could dim. Her long golden hair shimmered like woven sunlight, growing longer every year, until it became the means by which the sorceress ascended the tower. Every day, Rapunzel brushed each strand with devotion, just as Gothel had taught her. "Rapunzel, Rapunzel," the sorceress would call, "let down your hair." And Rapunzel, obedient and eager for company, would lower the long golden braid, allowing Gothel to climb up from the ground far below. Though Rapunzel was kind and dutiful, her heart ached with questions she dared not ask. She had never stepped outside the tower, never walked barefoot in grass, never felt the breeze on her face from anywhere except the tiny window. Gothel warned her that the world was dangerous, that people would hurt her, that she must never wish to leave. But dreams are difficult to silence. Rapunzel sang to the stars every night, her voice carrying through the trees like a fragile wish set free. She painted the clouds, traced the moon's path, and whispered her hopes into the sky. Her songs echoed softly. "These walls are all I've ever known. Stone and silence, dreams alone. When will my world begin?" It was a question she poured into every melody, a yearning she could not hide. One afternoon, As the sun warmed the treetops and the forest shimmered with golden light, a prince happened to ride nearby. His journey was long, his path uncertain, but his spirit was brave. Suddenly, he heard something that made him stop, a voice, clear and pure, rising through the forest like a spell. It was Rapunzel singing. He followed the sound, pushing through thickets and branches until he reached the base of the mysterious tower. Hidden among the trees, he watched as Mother Gothel approached the wall beneath the window and called out the familiar command. Rapunzel's long hair cascaded down like a waterfall of gold, and Gothel climbed up and disappeared inside. The prince returned the next day, drawn by a force he did not understand. When he saw the tower empty of the sorceress, he stood where she had stood, gathered his courage, and called softly, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." Rapunzel looked down, startled by the unfamiliar voice. "You're not Mother Gothel," she whispered. "Who are you?" He placed a hand over his heart and said gently, "Please don't be afraid. I heard your song, and it led me here. I just had to know who you were." Her heart pounded with both fear and wonder, but something in his voice felt warm and true. Slowly, she lowered her braid. The prince climbed up, and for the first time in her life, Rapunzel saw another human being, someone her own age. Someone who looked at her not with control or judgment but with awe. They talked for hours, as though making up for all the years Rapunzel had spent alone. The prince told her of the world beyond the forest, mountains crowned with snow, oceans that moved like living silver, meadows where wildflowers danced in endless colors. He described stars that shone without bars of stone, free to roam the night sky. Rapunzel listened with wide eyes, absorbing every detail like a thirsty plant absorbing rain. In return, she shared her dreams, the paintings she made, the melodies she hummed, the endless longing she carried. Day after day, they met again, and slowly, a tender friendship grew into something more fragile and beautiful than either of them expected. They laughed together, traced images in the clouds, and held onto each word the other said as though it were precious. Then one day, with hope glowing in his voice, the prince said, "Come with me, let me show you the world you dream of." Rapunzel looked toward the distant horizon, imagining the life she had always been denied. "If I could leave this tower," she breathed, "where would we go first?" The prince smiled and promised, "I'll come back tomorrow with a plan. I'll return for you." But fate, once again, had been listening. When Gothel climbed the braid that evening, Rapunzel noticed something she had never questioned before. "Mother," she said innocently, "why are you so much heavier than the prince?" The words slipped out before she understood their weight. Gothel froze, her face twisted into a storm of fury and betrayal. "You let someone climb the tower? Foolish child, you've ruined everything." In a jealous rage, her heart burning with fear of losing control, she seized Rapunzel's golden hair and cut it off in one merciless stroke. Rapunzel cried out, not just for the pain, but for the life she feared slipping away. Without hesitation, Gothel cast her into a faraway desert, a barren land of scorching winds and silent nights. "You will never see him again," she spat. Then, using the severed braid, she lured the prince to the tower. Hearing her call, he rushed to climb, thinking Rapunzel awaited him. But when he reached the window, Gothel revealed the truth. Rapunzel was gone, far beyond his reach. His heart shattered. Stumbling backward, blinded by despair, he fell from the tower into bushes of thorns that pierced his eyes. Leaving him in darkness, yet even blind, he wandered the wilderness, guided only by memories of her voice, soft, gentle, full of longing and hope. Meanwhile, Rapunzel survived alone in the desert. Days turned into nights, nights into years. She sang to the wind, her voice trembling with both sorrow and strength. She dreamed of the prince who had shown her kindness, who had spoken of freedom. Though the world around her was harsh, her spirit did not break. She held onto the faint thread of hope that someday, somehow, they would find each other again. And then, one day, a familiar melody drifted through the air. The prince, now exhausted and worn from his wandering, heard it, a faint echo of the song that once saved him from loneliness. Step by step, he followed the sound. His sightless world slowly brightened with hope. When he reached her, she rushed into his arms, and they held each other as though time itself stood still. Tears of joy streamed down Rapunzel's face, falling gently into his eyes. And in that moment of pure love, a miracle occurred. His vision returned. The first thing he saw again was Rapunzel's face, the one he had dreamed of every night. "You saved me," he whispered, overwhelmed. "Rapunzel, let's live free together." They returned to the world, not to towers or cages, but to a home they built with their own hands, a place filled with music, learning, laughter, sunlight, and the courage to choose their own destiny. And from that day forward, they lived not just happily ever after, but freely, wisely, and bravely, for all the days of their lives.